Hey everybody, welcome back to the Women in Motion Nutrition Podcast. I am your host, Gabby Barreto, and today on the podcast I have Dr. Mimi Knoll. She is a radiation oncologist, the founder of JOWMA, which is the Jewish Orthodox Women's Medical Association, a writer, researcher, and speaker. Dr. Knoll, I never call you that, but welcome to the podcast.
Weird. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. It's really an honor and a pleasure.
Yes, we've been talking about doing this, and you know I've been talking about bringing back my podcast, and I'm really excited to have you here and to talk all things about healthcare medicine, but mostly focusing on something you talk big about on social media, which is being a working mom, being a boss mom, and the mom guilt that comes along with it, taking care of ourselves and how important that is. So that's what our focus is going to be today, but definitely going to talk a lot about you and your journey into like motherhood and JOWMA, right? And bringing that together. So give us a little background about you to get us started.
Sure. So you and I met, is it like 6 years, 7 years?
No, it has to be more than that.
Long time.
Like I feel like it was pre-COVID. It's 2026.
Yeah, it was when my 8-year-old, like now 8-year-old, was I think 1 or 2. So like a long time ago. Right. Remember? Yona he was a baby.
He was a baby. He wasn't even 3 yet. I know that.
Yeah, it was definitely, I think he was like 1 or 2.
Almost 2.
Yeah.
With the Legos?
With the Legos all over the floor. And, you know, we started working together. You were training me, and we did nutrition counseling. And, you know, that was when I had, you know, a baby at home and 3 other kids. And I just moved to the 5 towns, started a new job. And, you know, being a working mom is hard. And no matter what your career aspirations are, you know, and I was always interested in having a career. And I always say there's a big difference between having a career and having a job.
Yes.
And not having a career or a job. And that's a personal choice, right? So, but at the same time, you really have to decide and kind of go all in, because you can't have everything at the same time, right? And I think that's like the biggest lesson that I try to teach like mentees and through social media and friends and colleagues. You really have to make a choice. And, you know, I grew up with 2 physician parents. My grandparents, 3 out of 4 of my grandparents are Holocaust survivors. And when they came here after World War II, to them, education was everything. So, you know, their kids had to go to college, had to become professionals, and basically they all did, including my parents. And my parents are still practicing. My mom's a pediatrician, and my father is a vascular surgeon, both in private practice. So I grew up with parents who were active, who were working, who invested in their careers, who gave back to the community, and I saw that firsthand. And at the same time, when I was deciding what I wanted to do with my life, and when I was in Brooklyn College, and my parents were so supportive and really pushing me to be a doctor, because I guess they knew that I would be able to succeed and get into medical school and get through it. It was still really, really hard, because growing up in a religious community, and to be honest, even if you don't grow up in a religious community, because I speak with colleagues all over the United States who also have that messaging. Right. You know, you can't do it. You can't be a good mom. You know, no one's going to marry you. You know, how are you going to raise kids well? How are you going to be able to do it? And I always thought, okay, it's because I'm religious, because I'm Orthodox. But the truth is, everyone gets these messaging, right? Right.
No, for sure. And in all communities. But I want to take a moment, because I think some of our listeners might not understand, like, what is being religious and Orthodox Jewish woman, like, where is that connection? Because, I mean, even in, like, my community, in, like, outside of the Orthodox Jewish community, like, there is this, like, you're the woman, you stay home, or if you work, you don't work a serious job.
Right.
You work like a less serious job.
Yeah.
Your husband works a more serious job.
Right.
And you spend most of your time like taking care of the kids, taking care of the house, but you have like a little job.
Yeah.
Right? That's not us.
And there's this also implied, like, you're doing it for fun.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That you're
keep you entertained.
Right. You're not taking it seriously, and you don't have ambition behind the job. So like, even if you do have a quote big job, or even if you are really successful, that just kind of happened on its own, right?
For fun. Right. Like, so tell us about like the Orthodox Jewish community and that role that you're kind of speaking about.
Yeah,
briefly.
sure. So, the Jewish community is not monolithic. There are many, different types of Jews within the Jewish community, including, Ashkenazim, Mizrahim, Sephardim, Jews from different, ethnic and cultural backgrounds and coming from different countries. So I grew up and I'm from the Ashkenazi Jewish community. And like I said, 3 out of my 4 grandparents were Holocaust survivors. So they came here to the United States from Poland and Hungary. And, many or if not most of their family members were murdered by the Nazis. And they were religious. So, as not all Jewish people are practicing the faith and practicing the religion, but Orthodox Jews do. So that means that we have, very strict guidelines and codes and behavior and things that we do. For example, we observe the Sabbath every Friday afternoon from sundown until an hour after sunset Saturday, which means at that time we do not use electronics, we do not drive, we do not use television, we do not use phones. So it's a real day of rest. And other things like keeping kosher, and along with being part of a traditional observant community, we also tend to prioritize family and getting married very young.
Yeah.
So most of my friends, by the time you're a year post high school, you're already seriously considering marriage. So like getting married at the age of 19 is considered perfectly normal and reasonable. I got married at age 21, which was like a little bit older, okay? And it's really important if you want to be religious, right? That you are part of that, extended community and culture. So, for example, if you're going to pursue a career, those questions, and you also continue to be part of the community, those questions sort of come up really, really strongly, right? Because if you're prioritizing getting married young, you're prioritizing having, a bunch of kids, you're prioritizing, raising those kids, with a partner who's also young, who's also, starting their career. It comes along with a lot of expectations, which were important to me, right? And I didn't want to leave the community. I want to be part of the community. I'm part of that family. And therefore, if you're considering a career, it's going to be really hard, right? Because not only are you dealing with the career, you're also dealing with family, with religion, with, your own extended family and the expectations that come along with that.
Right. And like a lot of things that we talk about too is like there's only so much time to give to all of this. And, while in my world and my community, like some people get married young, right?
Of course.
I think most of my friends who are married didn't get married until mid 30s, right? And so, or didn't have kids until I didn't have my first kid until I was 35, right? And so you kind of have all these years to we think about building a career, but you're building a career. While you're raising small kids. Children, right? It's so different, and it is a different lifestyle, but I also obviously have worked in your community for over a decade. I think it's a very beautiful community, and there's a lot of...
And we appreciate your public support against anti-Semitism, Gabby. So
absolutely.
From the heart, and I know I speak on behalf of the whole community when I say thank you for your support against anti-Semitism, because it's something that has just been horrific.
Especially over the past,
after October 7th, the amount of anti-Semitism that has been unleashed, in the world, and it's just so having someone who's not from the community stand up and point it out, we really appreciate it.
Well, I love you guys.
And
I think a thing that a lot of people misunderstand, I think it's people misunderstand the community and how beautiful a lot of your traditions, and most of them are, that they are very beautiful, and they're rooted in deep spirituality and religion. And it's there to serve a purpose of family unity, which is very obviously very lost in this in this modern world.
Family unity, making the world a better place, giving back to the world.
Right. And you guys are a very supportive community of each other. And I think that's one of the most, you go into the 5 towns if you've never been there, and whether you like people or not, you're still supporting each other, right? And that brings me to...
You can't be friends with everyone,
No, you can't be friends with everyone. You don't have to like everyone, but we need kindness with everyone. But it brings me to the next thing that you have done in your career, right? On top of being a mom and being a doctor and I almost called it grad school, but med school, not grad school. As being the founder of JOWMA, which is the Jewish
Yes.
Orthodox Women's Medical Association. I'm so proud I could say
Yes,
that.
great
Without
job.
a blip. So tell us a little bit about JOWMA. What inspired you to build that, and like how that is helping the community, and especially women, because this
Yes.
my whole world and business and podcast is all about empowering women, and why you're
Yeah.
here is like you are an emblem of women empowerment.
Well, thank you. So, just to go back to my story. So, like I said, my mom is a physician and has been practicing for many, many years. And yet when I was in college and deciding what to do, I still had questions like, should I do this? Can I do it? And you would think, isn't it obvious? I had a mother who clearly was successful and, raised a beautiful Jewish family. I'm one of 5 children. And, my mother is, a pillar of the community and is religious and, all the amazing things. So why did I even have a question? And, like we've been discussing, it's still a question because you get all of these messages, both from within the community and outside the community, that, you're not going to be able to do, and it's going to be really, really difficult, and you shouldn't do, and you're going to be an outlier, and all these things. So I ended up still doing it, and I got married in my first year of medical school. At that time, my husband was applying to medical school. Thankfully, he got into the same school. And
So cute.
Yeah, so when my oldest was born, at the end of my second year of medical school, I took a year off. So Abe and I graduated NYU Medical School together.
I love that.
So I took a year off while he caught up. I had my second also in medical school. So I graduated medical school with 2 kids. We were the only ones that had 2 kids in medical school.
You were probably my pregnant woman in
Yeah.
class. I remember there was a pregnant girl in my dietetics program, and she had the baby, and 5 days later she was back in class, and I was just like, what's going on?
Yeah. So I took a year off after my oldest was born. I took 2 weeks off after my second was born. My third, I gave birth in residency. I took 5 weeks off, and my youngest, I took 2 weeks off. And I say that to explain, and share, not that I'm Superwoman, which some people, we like to call each other. Superwoman is like a completely useless term, you know? You have to do what's right for you.
Right.
And if you're lucky enough, and I say this all the time, getting to where I am, yes, it's determination. It's also luck, right? I'm so grateful that I had healthy pregnancies and I didn't have to quit medical school because I was, throwing up every day or was on bed rest or things like that. There's so many things that could go wrong. And that's actually why, I think women really have to take control of the narrative.
Yes.
And, you're not somebody else. You are your own person. And as much as I don't like when people talk about you have to find your purpose and, that's kind of very unhelpful. You have to do what makes sense for you right here, right now. And you have to find those individuals that are going to support you. And stop comparing yourself to everybody else because you're not everybody else. And that's why I started JOWMA because, when I met Eliana Fine, we started the organization together, she reached out to me on Instagram and said, I've never met a religious woman doctor before. And I said, oh, there's actually hundreds of us.
Yeah.
We have a Facebook group. I've hosted events before, dinners. Why don't you come join? She's like, oh, let's do an event. And then I realized, an event is not enough. We need an organization to support other young women that want to go into this field. And it's not that I think everybody should be a doctor. Definitely not. It's a really long, really hard road. It's not for everyone. There's many wonderful careers in healthcare that are not becoming a physician. But if you want to do it, we want to help you.
Right.
And it's not just me. We have over 1,000 members right now.
It's amazing.
We have mentoring program. We have in-person events. We have a big conference every year. We have ongoing support. We have virtual platforms. And when you bring women together to support each other, incredible things happen.
Absolutely. I think that's a misnomer of this idea in society. You just made me think of women are always competing and women are always in competition.
It's completely untrue.
And it's untrue. And what I've found in my experience is that when you collaborate, which is why I love this podcast of collaborating and meeting other women and letting the community meet other women, is that when you collaborate and you work together, better things happen for everybody.
Absolutely.
Things grow better than when you're in competition. I think it's just such this wrong idea that we're kind of told be in competition with each other.
Yeah.
But we're really not. When we work together, people always say women supporting women is nonsense. And I'm like, I don't think it actually is. Women supporting women, like we are as women, and probably why you made this whole, exactly why you developed JOWMA was because like women are constantly being told this idea that like you stay home, you take care of the kids, your job is for fun, like maybe you work and then after you have kids, you quit your job and then who knows if you ever have to go get a job again. Now you have this 5-year gap. It's like this idea that like we are not supposed to do this. But like you said, like this is our personal choice. Like we want to work and we want to build. We don't just want to go to a job. We want a career. And there's nothing wrong.
There's nothing wrong with
than
that.
just wanting a job. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with wanting to turn a hobby into a passion. There's nothing
but
wrong
it's a
with
choice.
That. Yeah.
And I think women today, my father taught me this at a young age. Women today, have the amount of help that we have as compared to, for example, our grandmothers, right? Our grandmothers didn't have microwaves. They didn't have prepared foods. They didn't have, as much as, a lot of that stuff is unhealthy, okay? But they didn't even have the option,
You couldn't get a rotisserie chicken at the grocery store.
Right, like the amount of conveniences that we have today, the fact that there's daycare available, there's school available. I mean, kids used to go to school starting in first grade.
Right.
So the average kid today is not starting school at 7 years old.
Right.
Right? So if a woman wants to stay at home and work from home and, do the many wonderful things that you can choose to do that are not a career, that are not a job, that's wonderful. It's beautiful. Go ahead and do that. But recognize that that's a choice you're making, and the women who are working have those conveniences, but so do you, right? So working today and having a career today is a lot easier than it was 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago. You just can't. You just can't compare.
No, you can't compare. And then there's the other side of it too, of like some women have to work.
Yes.
There is no choice.
There's that too.
There is no choice. And that they have to work.
Yes,
and
most women today, double income household. That's just a fact of today. It is a fact. Absolutely.
And
I think it's a little bit different. I'm coming from a religious community where there are fewer women working full time or working a job, but at the same time, for those that do, very often it's because they need to. Right. And actually, at JOWMA, we have many of our members who are the primary breadwinners.
Right.
And they're doing it because they can. And they had spouses that often were supporting them while they were in school, and now the tables are turned and they're the ones who are the primary breadwinner. And you know what? That's fantastic.
Right. Absolutely. I think there's this idea that like we're not, again, like we keep talking about, like we're not supposed to, but I want women to know that they can. And it's not easy, right?
It's not easy.
And I think
life is not easy.
We always say that. Life is not supposed to be easy.
So, and that's the thing, like we're all gonna get old.
Yeah.
Okay? Our kids are gonna grow up. And what are you going to look back and wish that you did?
Right.
And whatever that is, do it now, because there is never, I always say this, it's never a good time to have a baby. Ever.
No.
People are like, oh, I want to go be a doctor. When should I have a baby? Now. Don't push it off, because you don't know what your fertility is. Yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's hard. Yeah, it's never a good time.
I agree with you. It's never a good time.
Never a good time.
Like one of my friends was like, I think we're gonna wait like 6 more months. I go, just start
Do it now.
Just start now.
Yes.
And I think that
and that's with anything, and that's with your career.
Yes.
That's with relationship. That's with starting to exercise to take care of your health. I mean, I started this health journey right around the time when I met you. It was like a little bit before, and I look back like I wish I would have started eating healthier, exercising 10 years before, 20 years before. Why didn't I? I mean, some of it was like I didn't know. Some of it was, I was busy. I didn't have enough time.
Right. Or also,
that's what I told myself.
Right. I didn't have time. Also, like when you are working, and this kind of goes back to the mom guilt too, is like there are so many sacrifices we have to make. Like I know, like I am here right now. The time is 3:07. Like my baby's done with daycare in 10 minutes, right? Like my other kid comes home at 4:15, but I am working until 7 p.m. tonight, right? Yes. Like I'm working, and I don't have as much time with my kids that other parents have with their kids, right? But the time I do have with them, and also like they're very little.
Yeah.
And I would rather take this time now to really, really build and really like put in the effort now.
Yeah.
And when they're older, like I do love my kids and I do enjoy them when they're little. And every moment I get with them, like I'm going to take it in. But it comes with a sacrifice, right?
Yes.
Like, I don't do much socially because I'm working, I'm working out.
Yes.
I'm running, like, I'm running my business, or I'm with my kids.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that the sacrifice that we make sometimes turns into like mom guilt, right?
Yes,
we said this a bunch of times.
Yes.
You talk about this a lot. What is mom guilt? Like, can we define it?
Absolutely. So, it's so interesting because, I was involved professionally with social media way before I started an Instagram account. First Facebook, like physician Facebook groups, then on Twitter, now X, networking with other physicians. And then when Instagram became really popular, my husband said to me, everything's on Instagram. You really need to go on Instagram. So I was like, okay, like what is this, And it's so interesting because when I started my page, women started like commenting like, wow, like you have this career, you're a doctor, mom guilt. And people started messaging me and I realized like, I have all these women who, yes, they're inspired and yes, they're like, wow, that's great. A lot of them did not work and did not have careers, and they still had mom guilt. They were commenting on content that I was sharing about mom guilt, but they were feeling guilty that they weren't working. And I was like, are you joking? I have this guilt, and all my friends and colleagues who are working have the guilt that they're working, and you're a stay-at-home mom, and you have guilt that you're not working? Like, what is wrong with this picture?
Right.
And the answer is like, no matter what, you feel guilty about something.
Yeah.
And I work part-time now in the hospital as a radiation oncologist, and I run JOWMA as a volunteer. And obviously, I don't really work part-time, even though my job at the hospital is part-time. That being said, I have a lot more free time now, right? Than I ever used to. And there are still things I feel guilty about all the time. And I could be spending my whole Friday cooking for Shabbos, cooking for the weekend, cooking for my family, and I could still feel guilty that I'm not doing something else.
Right.
And 10 years ago, if I would have had a Friday free to stay home with my family and cook a whole day, I would have felt like I was winning the lottery. So I should be on a high 24/7 that I don't need to have mom guilt anymore.
Right.
The fact is, every mom has mom guilt.
Right.
Period, end of story. Because we love our children and we love our families and we want to do the best that we can. And therefore, especially today with social media, no matter what you're doing, somebody else made a different choice and is doing something else.
Right.
And you can choose and allow yourself to feel guilty about whatever that thing is.
Right.
You cooked, your friend did more. You exercise, she did it more. You served this kind of meal or had this kind of thing, or there's so much comparison, and it's impossible to keep up.
Right, and what you're hinting at is like these expectations that like social media puts on us, and then like, but we also kind of put on ourselves because we consume so much of this content that's actually absolutely curated. Like when people say to me, like they look at my page like, oh my God, you work out all the time. I was like, no, I just work out like a normal person. I just do it at 5 o'clock in the morning so then I can spend 2 hours with my kids in the morning. And that's it.
But you've also been doing it for years.
Right,
You've been
it's not a
working
new
out
habit.
for years. You didn't start a week ago to start, right? We always talk about this.
Right.
Like, you want to build muscle? Like, it's going to take years. It's not just going to happen.
No.
And that's what people don't understand. And I think young women especially have to have that long view of like, and one of the other things I always share is, don't make a decision in a time of crisis. So right here, right now, you're freaking out, you're in the hospital, your kid fell and banged his elbow, your housekeeper didn't show up, your husband's mad at you because you're not, like, there's so many crises that come up. That is not the time to quit your job. That is not the time to be overwhelmed by mom guilt and say, I'm doing everything wrong with my life, I need to, right? Every mom is gonna have mom guilt at some point about something. Every kid is going to fall at some point and cry. There's going to be stress, in your family life when you're raising kids or just living your life or financial, whatever it is life is not free of stress. Right. So that's not the time to say proof, oh, that's the mom guilt. Very often mom guilt is FOMO, it's fear of failure, it's stress, it's a kid that's crying, it's concern about your job. It has nothing to do with guilt. We just throw it under and just blame everything on ourselves.
Right, and the mom guilt thing, I always say like guilt is such a wasted emotion. It's like how is guilt and mom guilt serving me? Yeah. And it's like, this is an example, like everyone's taking their kid to this place called Planet Play, right?
Okay.
And it's like basically it's an arcade for little kids, and I always call it like Vegas for little kids.
Okay,
right?
okay.
And like, oh, Planet Play, and all the moms in the chat are like, we're going to Planet Play, and like, and all of this, I'm like, all right, let's take the kids to Planet Play. I spent $60 on one, I don't know, 2 hours
1 hour?
two kids to run around and give me a migraine and cause me more stress.
Yes.
And I'm just like, I don't feel guilty about this stuff, right? Like, I've chosen to take my kids to Disney World twice. It wasn't based on mom guilt. It was more like, I want to go to Disney World.
Want to.
I want to go. Like, I think that this whole mom guilt of like these expectations of like, it's this day and my kid has to have the perfect outfit and they have to look like this. My kids
it's a complete
are
waste.
not like that at all. Like, they don't.
If it's important to you, then do it. But do it because you want to and not because you feel guilty.
No.
And the best way to know is to take a break, take a few days, and then think, okay, what's important to me? Right? Like, what do I want? And if you still feel that way in 3 or 4 days, make it happen. Go to Planet whatever.
Play.
Okay, do a Mommy and Me class. Take your kids to Disney. Work part-time. Switch jobs. I mean, I'm on my 3rd job since I finished residency, okay? That's unusual. For most doctors, like, they kind of stick to one, I made decisions because I wanted a different schedule. I wanted, less time in the hospital. Some to do with mom guilt, maybe some not. Some to do with family, some to. You should make. I always tell people you should make changes. But do it not because you feel guilty, but because that's what you want to do. And if you're not sure, as uncomfortable as it is, you have to sit with the discomfort. You have to sit with it. You have to think about it. You have to talk to people that you really trust. Maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a partner, maybe it's, a colleague that you really, and talk it out with them and see like what's really important to you. And the fact is, if you want to be a good parent, not just a parent, if you want to be a good parent, you're going to spend time being stressed out about your kids. Because that's your job. To be worried about your kids.
And raising them well.
That's a privilege.
Yes.
And
I think
doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're doing something right.
Correct. And I think too, it's like, I'm just thinking about myself too. Like when I made the decision to like, okay, I'm running my own business and that's going to be a lot more work and more stress than me just walking into a job, working and going home. That is not what I wanted for myself. That is not what would make me happy. And for me to be the best mom I could possibly be to both of my kids, I need to be fulfilled. And so many times I work with moms. I see them unfulfilled. Like, I really want to do this. I want this for myself. I want that. And they're not doing it because we're trapped by the idea that like, I need to just go to work and run straight home and be with my kids every moment. But if that's what you want to do, there is nothing wrong with that. But if that's not in your soul, what you want to do, then you have to go and do the things for yourself. I have to go to the gym. I have to like leave my kids sometimes and go do the things I want to do. And sometimes it sucks when I'm closing the door and Luca is standing there and he's screaming bloody murder. And I'm like, I love you, but mommy has to go. And like, I don't feel guilty about that because I'm being fulfilled. And when I'm being fulfilled, they're going to get better me. But like something you've taught me too is like, what I'm doing is for them.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
When we're working, building our careers, living our dreams, doing the things we want to do, at the end of the day, yes, it's for us, we feel fulfilled, but it is for them.
Of course it is.
Right?
It's not, here's the thing. If your kid needed you, you would be there.
Yes.
You would be there in 1 second. I would have dropped out of medical school. You would close your business. Like, God forbid a kid needs you. Any parent, normal parent, right? Which is, we certainly qualify, right? You're there. So deep down there's nothing to do with guilt. It has to do with messaging. It has to do with FOMO. It has to do with, making decisions. So of course, like if you have a career, you have a business, like there's going to be times where like, am I making the right decision? Nothing to do with whether or not you have kids. Like that's just life. Like you're going to have uncertainty and life is messy. And if you're going to stick your neck out and try to do something, and sometimes you're not going to succeed, which means not every decision is going to be right, you know? So absolutely. You wanting to be the best mom you could possibly be doesn't mean you need to be sitting at home a whole day. For some people, and that's why also I really dislike when people say, and I wonder if you've heard this too, oh, I could never be a stay-at-home mom. Like, I would be the worst mom. No, you know what I say? I would be the best stay-at-home mom. I'm just not, because I chose something else. You just can't do two things at once. I don't have a career because I would have been a bad stay-at-home mom. I would have been a good stay-at-home mom if I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I made a decision not to be, and I can't do both those things.
No.
And I know stay-at-home moms, like for example, my mother-in-law, some of my best friends, they're amazing. That's just a choice that they made.
Right.
Right? And we could have made that too. We just didn't. That's life. You got to make a choice.
We do have to make a choice, right? And I think that the message here is really we have to do a little soul searching, a little digging of what do I truly want and what to make me fulfilled. It's not even about making me happy, because I'm not happy every day.
Totally.
No.
Totally.
A lot of times we talk about it I'm miserable. Stressed out.
Absolutely. But stay-at-home moms are also stressed.
Right.
Every mom is stressed.
Right. Because being a mom is stressful.
Yeah, that's life.
The stupid expectations, and then you're online, and there's another thing for the kid, and there's another.
It's
a
so
mommy
hard.
and me this and this, and I'm I'm not putting my kid in soccer and spending $300 because that's miserable for me, and I don't feel guilty for not doing that. So don't feel guilty for not doing the things that are going to make you miserable, and the kid is not going to because you think they need enrichment. They're 3.
You know what? It's surrounding yourself, limiting social media. I'm in a way so grateful that I didn't have social media when my kids. My oldest is turning 18 this month. So, I raised my kids in a completely different era. Obviously my younger ones, yes, we had social media, but I don't know how I would have survived, honestly. With the amount of you should do this, you have to do this, or you're a failure. Whether it's as a mom, in your career, it's really hard nowadays to raise kids. And, you just got to do your best to just close off the messaging and surround yourself with people that support you. And that's why I'm so passionate about JOWMA and building and maintaining and growing an organization that supports younger women and gives them an opportunity to give back. So, we already have dozens of doctors who we've been mentoring from before they were in medical school, helped them get in, supported them. Now they're volunteering and running and starting programs for the young women that come after them. So it's so rewarding to see, yes, when you support other women, to go back to the conversation, women support, not every woman supports other women. Yes, some women are jealous and selfish. Okay, goodbye. But there are so many women that are selfless and want to give back and want to help just for the sake of, they so appreciate the help that they either needed or got, right? And they want to give back.
Right. It's so important that we support each other and not compete.
Yes.
What I wanted to talk with you now about is a little bit about with all of these layers of the guilt and the sacrifice and everything.
Yes.
You still managed to fit in exercise and taking care of yourself in some capacity.
Yes.
It's not perfect.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I want to talk about for you, why is that so important for you? What does it do for you? And we could talk about the vanity of it and the aesthetics.
Totally. I think for me, it definitely started with vanity.
Yeah.
Okay. So I grew up in the 90s. I'm a millennial, and there was at some point, before I met you, but sort of around then, where I was I can't count calories and restrict for the rest of my life. So this is ridiculous, I didn't want to yo-yo. I was it was close to my mid-30s, I guess.
Right.
And I was I need to do something, and then I started going to the gym, more often, started working out, started lifting weights, and realized this feels good. This is good. I should do more of this. And also that sort of panic of I'm getting old and I better start taking care of myself.
Right.
Seriously, not because if you don't, it's back to the thing, we're all gonna get old anyway. And when am I gonna look back and wish that I did?
Right. And I have so many moms that are oh, my kids are now older and I haven't taken care of myself. I'm no, we have to. This is for young moms. You have to take care of yourselves while your kids are little.
And you have to develop the habits. So
yes.
I read that book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. Only a few years ago, but looking back, I had actually adopted a lot of his tactics, which is make it a habit. I always tell you, as much as I love you, I don't love exercising.
I do.
I enjoy, right.
I do.
Okay, which is great.
I know, it's great.
But a lot of women get stuck in I don't like this. And I'm just too bad. Like, do it anyway. Like that's what I tell myself. Like, do it anyway, because if you don't take care of yourself, forget about looking hot, okay? But like, you're not going to be healthy. You have to. If you don't, you use your body, move, stretch, build muscle, and we have more and more data. It's so important. And listen, not everything is preventable. And like we talk about this a lot also, like, people get cancer, people die, the world is a sad place, and not everything is preventable, but losing mobility, having diabetes as a result of a really poor diet, being overweight. I mean, there's so many things, again, not everything, I don't want to make overgeneralizations, but taking care of your health is a choice.
Right. And it's like the data is there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like besides that of like your physical health, it's like also like you talked about quality of life. Like we're all getting older every moment. I just aged in the last 2 seconds, okay? Just a little bit. But like we know that exercise is one of the best like anti-aging anecdotes, that and nutrition and diet, right? Like we know that it can be very preventative. Like you said, things still happen. Like I was one of the healthiest people going into my C-section and postpartum and my pregnancies, and I ended up in the hospital with postpartum preeclampsia, and everyone was like, you of all people, like things still happen in the human body that like you can explain it, you can't explain it, whatever it is, like, but we have to make sure that and this is also part of like putting myself first, and like you're not going to strength train on your own, right? And if you're not with me and you're away, you're like at a Barry's class, or you're at like
someone has to force me to work out, or I'm not working out,
right? Or you're going to like F45 or some other place if you're on vacation, or even if you're not with me. But like we have to find the motivation, and I guess my question to you is like, and I know the answer, but for the audience, like, what do you get from it personally, physically, emotionally? Like, what is exercise doing for you?
So, like I said, like the reason why I started exercising is because, growing up in the 90s and restricting, I started counting calories when I was 12 years old.
Right.
Like seriously. And at that time, I got a lot of satisfaction out of having lost weight and having control over my body. And I learned a sense of like grit, which played into ultimately how I decided to pursue a career, which requires a lot of grit, medical school, right? So I enjoyed sort of like transforming myself, and I had like baby fat when I was a kid, which I lost, like I said, when I was 12 years old. But then, and all the messaging in the 90s was like, okay, eat less, eat as little as you can, you know? And I did that for many years, but at some point I realized like, probably that's not the way to go. I should probably start like eating healthier. I should start exercising just as like a way to like, maintain how I look and stay slim and all that, which was the original goal. But then once I started working out, I was like, I have never felt so good in my entire life. Like, this is great. I'm going to continue doing this. So as much as I really disliked the actual working out, I loved how I felt, not just after, like not like the runner's high, but just which is important, and I do like the endorphins, but it's just, I feel so much better, like all the time. Like my body just feels so much better. And honestly, that's why I maintain it. Because I just feel better. And I know, like when I see people that are older, the ones who are, active and vivacious and are out there, almost all of them exercise, like without a fail. Like, sure, some people have just fantastic genes and they're super lucky. Most of them have been working out and continue to work out for years. And even people who, and you could speak to this much more than I, even people who are old and frail, and like there are actual like medical terms like to describe frailness,
like sarcopenia.
And like, strength and all these things, once they start working out, they're able to reverse, they're able to get their strength back, Their mobility improves. I follow some accounts on Instagram, which I love, like people who like really transform themselves through exercise. So that is why I continue to do it. It's
like the movement principle. We could talk so much like science about it, like why do we feel so much better? There's like the hormonal, the neurotransmitter cascade that happens as a result of exercise. One thing I tell people all the time, and this is so basic, it's like, we got to pick things up, break down tissue, and rebuild new tissue, right? We're not breaking down tissue and rebuilding new tissue. Like, that's how you get stronger. The other thing is like, exercise increases blood flow around the body.
Yes.
Right? How do we get things places is like, it's like our blood is like, it's the rivers and the lakes in our body that delivers things, right? It's delivering nutrients, it's delivering oxygen. When you work out, you're increasing blood flow throughout the body, right? Like we're increasing nutrient delivery, hormone delivery, neurotransmitter, like it's so powerful. And I'm just keeping it really basic because that's all people need to understand. I exercise, I break things down, I rebuild new tissue. I love it. That's important. I get more blood flowing around the body, right?
It's anti-aging.
Yes. It's like,
and it keeps you feeling better.
Right.
Like aside from the mood, like there are so many physicians that will say this like online, like the most underutilized mental health treatment is exercise.
Yes.
It is so important. 100%. Not just like I'm stressed out, go exercise. No, as a daily, weekly, it doesn't mean you have to do crazy exercise every day, but every day do something.
Right.
So it's so important.
It is. And like I want more moms to really hone in on that like it's not that much time of your day. It's really not. I tell people all the time, if you can scroll on your phone at night and like BS via text at night, you can seriously go work out for 30 minutes.
So that's the habit. That's like the habit forming where it's like, it seems like it's so much.
It does.
I actually remember talking to some friends, 2 different friends of mine who work out a lot. And I was like, oh yeah, like I exercise once a week. And I remember like, they didn't mean it like this, but they were like, oh, okay. And I'm thinking, wow, I guess that's not a lot. And I'm like, how often? They're like, oh, like every day? Maybe not like heavy lifting every day, but like, and I was like, oh, that's a thing? Like people can do that?
Yes.
And I realized, why not? Why them and not me?
Right.
Why shouldn't I be taking care of myself?
Right.
Who is going to take care of me if I don't take care of me?
Like that's the thing
too.
too.
And I used to feel so guilty working out. So guilty. You know what? My husband, my kids, no one ever said to me, why are you working out? Why aren't you
Why are you going to the gym and you're not
They
sitting here with us?
They throw me out the door. Go work out because you come back, you're in a better mood. You're happier. And they know it's healthy, it's important. And they start doing it.
I know.
Now my boys work out.
I know.
I mean, now they're old enough to, right?
I just want to say that you have grown from like the little pink dumbbells and the little kettlebells
2 pounds
and to the 10, 15, 20 pound dumbbells. So now we have a whole barbell rack. Okay.
Yeah.
There's like cables. We barbell squat. Okay, we deadlift.
More than my body weight.
Right, more than your
Like if
body
you would have
weight.
told me this 5 years ago, I would not have believed you. I was like, no, that's not.
And that you're going to like it.
I would have said, how am I going to have time? How am I going to run a household, raise kids, have a career, run a nonprofit, and work out?
Right.
How?
And like
and go out with my friends and family and my hobbies and
And like listen, it isn't easy for everyone to have access to all of this. And like you certainly need to build it into your schedule. Like you certainly do. Like I say it all the time. I've already said it in this podcast. I have to be up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning, be in the gym no later than 5:45 to get 45 minutes in.
See, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, I could never do that.
Right.
But you do it.
I do.
You do it.
I run my own business and that was my choice.
Yeah.
So guess what I get to do? Build flexibility. So I'll work in the morning before I could pick up my kids sometimes. I'll go for a run or I'll do a workout and then I'll pick up my kids, but then I work at night. So like I don't feel guilty for going for a run in the middle of the day.
And you know what? So a friend of mine, Julie Wilcox, who runs our wellness platform, so she taught me this term called exercise snacking.
Yes.
Like doing like small amounts of exercise. I wish I would have learned that term when I was in residency. Because in residency, like I was exhausted all the time. I was working, my kids were little. I was commuting over an hour each day. Like if someone had said to me, you need to work out an hour, 3 times a week, I would have said, you're insane.
I don't work out an hour.
But you know what? I could have done 5 minutes of push-ups. 3 times a day.
Which is what you did. And now you got amazing push-ups.
Now I can do push-ups. And I wasn't even able to do one. So if I would have, part of it, and that's why I so appreciate you, one of the reasons is, you're out there teaching women, because some of it, honestly, is just complete lack of knowledge. As much as we have so much knowledge now,
it's overload, and it's not necessarily applicable to everybody.
Exactly. And sometimes it's like you have to learn, like, oh yeah, I could do that.
Right. And like I just said,
what's the minimums? Like, what would you say for someone who's working full time, raising kids, who has more of a typical 9 to 5 or even more, right? I have mentees who work 80 hours a week. Like, can they exercise?
Right, for sure.
How?
I would say, well, the recommendations from the, I think it's like the American Academy of Sports Medicine, I want to say ACSM, or whatever it is, ACSM, their recommendations are, like, the general guidelines are 150 minutes a week, right, of moderate exercise, right?
Yeah.
So 150 minutes, you can break that up into, anyway, what is that, 2.5 hours, right, a week? So you could do a half hour, and that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be in the gym slamming weights. And I think that's a misconception. People might look at me and I'm ripping kettlebells and I'm swinging and I'm sprinting. That's not what it needs to look like. That's what I like. And if women want that and want to be inspired and motivated, I'm their person, right?
Yeah.
If that's not what they want, there's plenty of other influencers, professionals out there to be inspired by.
There are exercise videos, there's YouTube now.
Yes.
You can get anything.
Yes, I actually have started filming a bunch of workouts.
Amazing.
Right, Danielle? Where are you? We've started in here. So those are like gonna come on YouTube soon. By the time you watch this, they might be there. But I
that's
think
like
they're
access.
like 15 minutes. Like, if you can do 15 minutes in the morning, I think a misconception is I have to get dressed, I have to go to a gym, I have to do this, I have to do that.
Like, if somebody has, God forbid, a sick child, we're talking like a really unusually difficult situation. Okay, maybe don't do whatever you got to do to get through your day, take care of, your family. But even regular working women, you're saying, you can find the time.
You can find the time.
You can find the time.
I always tell people, especially when I have women who are like, they don't have kids, whatever, I'm like, I'm sorry, but if we can find the time, you can find the time too. And I don't like speaking like that and speaking in a way that might sound shaming, but it's just like, the truth is, like, I can make every excuse in the world as to why I'm not doing X, Y, Z. And I can do that in other areas of my life.
Yes.
Why I'm not doing X, Y, Z. I can make any excuse in the world, but, like, until it's really important to me and I'm almost like suffering from it, then I'll do it, right? Like, then we have to make the time. You have to make the time to do the things. I do not like looking at bills. Everything's on autopay. I don't like reviewing bills. I don't like billing. I don't like paperwork. I have to force myself to do it. There is no reward to that for me. Right? There's no neurological reward for doing any of that for me, except, like, okay, I know my finances and I know where the money is and all of that. Like, there's not, I have to force myself to do that. And for some people, that's exercise. They're like, I have to force myself to do this one thing. But I also find that, like, we kind of have to again, soul searching, take a deep look of, like, what excuses am I making and where can I find the time for that? And you find the time for it.
Thank God.
No matter what. Thank God.
I'm so grateful for you for training me and supporting me and inspiring me all these years.
Fun.
I know we could go for hours and hours and hours, but thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you so much. So I want to wrap up really quick with our last little point of, this is my little bit, okay? We can go two. We can do two of them.
Let's do it.
Things like within the healthcare mom guilt speed, right? Like, you're an oncologist, right? I'm a dietitian. We talk a lot about healthcare. What are, like, 1 or 2 things within your space, within, like, medicine, doctors, that, like, bother you, that you feel comfortable sharing publicly?
No, I think what bothers me is that I think physicians get a really bad rap.
Yes.
I think people don't understand the sacrifice that it takes to become a physician. And the reason why that's so insulting is because there's this predatory culture, mostly on social media, but has infiltrated, this idea that physicians are sort of trying to hoodwink people, that oncologists, I hear this all the time, oncologists, know the cure for cancer, but we're hiding it from people because we're worried for our paycheck and our job. And it's like, it couldn't be further from the truth. You're talking about, people, and myself included, we sacrifice years of our lives for very little reward. Most physicians are in debt, don't make a lot of money. We're talking, practicing physicians today, it's not like it was. We did it because we really want to help people.
Right.
And cancer is just one example of that. We cure cancer every day. Of course we want cancer to be cured.
Right.
It doesn't mean a person doesn't need treatment, right? If we're recommending a treatment, it's because we think it's going to work. It's not because we're getting something out of it.
Right.
You know?
No.
So that's a big pet peeve of mine.
Right.
And then the second thing is another pet peeve, which is related. This idea that, like, you know, any one person's story is proof of everything for everyone.
Correct.
Which is so completely ridiculous. You know, if one person had a side effect, if one person, you know, had something happen to them, if you're one person.
N equals one. N equals
exactly.
one.
You have not become the expert. You have no right to discourage other people from doing what is right. You have no right to scare other people. And this happens a lot also.
Yeah.
Oh, you really should do this. You really should see this. What gives you the right to tell someone who is suffering from a new diagnosis that you know what they should do? Mm-hmm. It's actually evil.
Yes.
You're hurting people.
Right. It's like you mentioned the word predatory. It's like this predatory nature. And at the end of the day, so many of these people are like, they're selling a cleanse, they're selling a product, they're
always selling something. That's right.
And there's a reason why we have a healthcare. There's a healthcare team. There's a reason why we have a physician. There's a reason why there's different members of the healthcare team that help heal people. There's a reason why we follow evidence-based treatment.
Yes.
And like, listen, evidence-based treatment is evidence-based treatment, and then you're treating a human being.
Yes.
But you use the evidence.
Yes.
And like, I was with a client yesterday, and we were looking at like, what is the evidence to like what specific thing that we were trying to change and fix and help her with. And we look at the evidence, we look at the person, and what's going to help them have the best outcome.
Yeah.
But social media is like, it could be an amazing place, and we both contribute amazingly to social media, but then it could be a dumpster fire of predators and people who just want to make money and convince you to do something that can be really harmful to you.
Absolutely.
So we're grateful for our doctors. I love doctors. I love the work that you guys do. I work with you guys every day.
Yeah, we all know not every doctor is good. Not every treatment is the right thing. Yes, bad things happen every day. Like, I don't want to sugarcoat the whole healthcare system. But the misinformation, and that's the other, side of JOWMA that I'm passionate about, which is, we utilize our network of physicians to create content, both in person, online, events, media, to educate the community on important health topics, because there's just so much bad information out there.
So much. Well, thank you so much,
Dr.
Knoll, for coming on today.
It's a pleasure.
Where can they find you?
So my Instagram is at
at
dr.mimi.k, on X, on Twitter, formerly called Twitter, at mknoll_MD.
Are you still on there posting?
Yeah.
I love it.
Not as much, but like, we all have limited time, right?
I know.
So more on Instagram, less on Twitter now. Definitely not really much on Facebook anymore.
Right. And JOWMA is just JOWMA
_org.
Okay, _or, but the website is jowma.org, right?
Yes.
Correct.
My
Awesome.
Instagram, is JOWMA_org.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you.
And we'll see you soon.